about these things no matter what. No one at all, least of all you.
Ganga.
Brought to you by
Hyundai or Hyundai.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Turbulence to future, I'm going to end that CVM. See it happen. We've got the love others are searching for. I'm still loving you, even though you're gone. I could have been one of the most notorious. Keep it royal. Give thanks and praise for life. Thank you very much. Go bang!
What's up, racing fans? Tune into CVM to see all of the live action from Rally X.
An all-new Rally X highlights this Friday at 10 p.m.
Reggae Sumfest presents the Global Fete. Thursday, July 17, Catherine Hall Stadium. It's pure fire. Ghana's Molly brings Billboard heat with Shake It to the Max. From Trinidad, soca vibes with hitmaker Young Breda. And dancehall energy with Marcy Chin. And then it's the big bad sound clash with Tony Matterhorn versus Notorious Sound. It's gonna be a war zone. It's the Global Fete. Reggae Sumfest, where the rhythm never sleeps. Get your tickets now.
Sponsors: Jamaica Tourist Board, MasterCard, Secrets, Hardware and Lumber, Urban Development Corporation, Red Stripe, Down South Records.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yeah.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction, 'cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it down. Shine your lights on.
Thanks so much for joining us for CVM News at noon. It's Monday, July 14, 2025. I'm Nika Lewis. Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, Daryl Vaz, is scolding Member of Parliament, aspirant for Manchester Southern, Senator Peter Bunting, for allegedly making derogatory remarks about the government's rural school bus initiative. Speaking at the JLP Manchester Southern workers meeting, Minister Vaz highlighted that this behavior is unbecoming of someone who is seeking to fill a prominent leadership role. He believes that JLP MP aspirant Ian Ives is a more logical pick for the constituency. Now, dozens of angry residents in sections of Central Westmoreland mounted a major protest over what they say are years of neglect and deteriorating road conditions along the main road leading from Amity District to George's Plain. Frustrated and fed up, the residents say the road has been in a deplorable state for years, despite numerous complaints. They argue that the worsening conditions are affecting workers who rely on the roadway daily. Some residents say they are now forced to pay higher transportation fares due to the damage of their vehicles. And we apologize for the lack of audio. At the recent sitting of the Manchester Municipal Corporation, Mayor of Mandeville Donovan Mitchell announced his intention to contest the upcoming government elections. He also stated that regardless of who wins the mayoral and deputy mayoral seats, they will have his full support.
I just want to indicate that I have thrown my hat in the ring for as aspirant for the People's National Party in the upcoming election. Therefore, its elections are called before the second Thursday of September. This would ultimately be my final meeting of council because I know I'm going to win. I'm not entering to lose. Whoever is selected as mayor, I'll be here to support the installation of our new mayor and deputy mayor. But for the time being, I'll be here guiding the council until that time comes.
Transport Minister Daryl Vaz has struck down as false and misleading a media report suggesting the company that imported the first batch of school buses for the government-led rural school initiative was not certified so to do. The minister has been coming under fire from the opposition and critics in recent weeks over aspects of the procurement. Transport Minister Daryl Vaz is rejecting what he calls a false, disingenuous and reckless suggestion in the media that El Hydro Limited was allowed to breach import policy during the rollout of the rural school bus system. In a statement Sunday, Minister Vaz reaffirmed that the Transport Ministry is the licensed importer of all 110 buses under the program. He clarified that El Hydro served as the supplier, acting as the sole approved agent in Jamaica and the Caribbean for the manufacturer. The trade board, he says, permitted El Hydro to facilitate importation on behalf of the ministry, but emphasized that school buses are specialized units, not intended for resale. Therefore, he notes El Hydro is not required to be registered as a used motor vehicle dealer. Vaz also addressed claims that the buses were uncertified. He asserts that all 110 units were certified in 2025 by U.S. Department of Transportation approved inspectors. Additionally, that JUTC engineers traveled to the U.S. for inspections, and that the Island Traffic Authority completed rigorous checks and issued certificates of fitness upon their arrival in Jamaica. The minister further criticized the headline, "Not Certified," as misleading while demanding responsible journalism. The minister has been facing harsh criticism by some opponents who felt they were not only unsafe, but that they will not meet the needs of the bulk of the students in rural spaces. Nika Lewis, CVM News. A taste of success where goat farming meets business savvy in St. Mary. In this Small Biz Big Dreams preview, Raymond Morrison introduces us to Cabra Ranch, where one couple is putting a fresh spin on milk production.
So traditionally, we would recognize cow's milk, almond milk, or even by extension, oat milk if you're a vegetarian. Well, today we're in the cool hills of Highgate St. Mary at Cabra Ranch, where they're serving up something special and milking a great opportunity.
As a Jamaican, we're born and grown here, so we know the stigma when it comes to goats, right? People who grew up in the country will tell you, oh yeah, we used to drink goat milk, but as soon as them take up themselves and go town, nobody wants to drink goat milk anymore because it's not the thing. But, you know, anything that's healthy for you eventually people start gravitate to it. They just gotta try it.
The full story airs tonight in CVM News at 7. Well, despite backlash from several entities, in fact, we're going to take that one after this because we're up on a break, so stay with us.
The new name in forklift sales and rentals in Jamaica. Top quality, low prices, fleet discounts available, 12-month warranty, free service parts, daily rentals, crazy cheap, Ashman's equipment, same forklift, better deals.
This July, the world turns to Jamaica
for the Caribbean Investment Forum, the region's premier investment event.
From July 29 to 31, the Montego Bay Convention Center comes alive
with global thought leaders, exclusive investment opportunities, high-impact deal-making sessions.
Are you ready to invest in the Caribbean's future? Book now at CaribbeanInvestmentForum.com.
Let's shape a smart, green, connected Caribbean. July 29 to 31, Montego Bay. Powered by Caribbean Export, Government of Jamaica, Jampro, EU, CARICOM, Republic Bank.
Welcome back. You're watching CVM News at noon. Now, as the 2025 hurricane season intensifies, the Insurance Association of Jamaica, the IAJ, has launched a bold new public education campaign, and it's titled Real Value, Real Coverage. The initiative urges Jamaican property owners like yourselves, both locally and abroad, to urgently reassess their insurance coverage before disaster strikes. The campaign comes against a troubling backdrop of underinsurance or its total absence. So to discuss more on this matter, we are now being joined by Shaluk Richards. That's Mr. Shaluk Richards. He's the Vice President of Insurance Association of Jamaica, the IAJ. Welcome, Mr. Richards.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and good afternoon to your viewers as well.
Great. So exactly what percentage of Jamaican residential properties are we saying are insured?
So Jamaican residential properties, our current estimate is about 20% of Jamaican residential properties are insured. And of that 20%, our estimate is about 95% that are underinsured, which that means that should there be a hurricane or a catastrophe, we have 95% of the insured properties that could have a situation where they do not get the full amount of the claim that they so desire.
That sounds like a dire situation, but what are the risks associated with, therefore, the low levels of residential insurance? You mentioned 20% and 95% being underinsured. So given Jamaica's risk of hurricanes and other natural disasters, what exactly are we looking at?
So our biggest risk is that we end up in a situation where we're not able to rebuild the property, right? Or to fully rebuild the property. So the idea behind insurance is really to put you in a position that you do not have to start over from scratch. So you've done your investment, you've saved, you bought your property, and you've insured that property. And what you want to do is to ensure that you, in the event of a loss, you are not having to start from scratch all over again. The issue with underinsurance is that if you're underinsured, then a clause that's in your insurance policy is the average clause. And essentially, average clause says that you will be only covered for the portion of the insurance that you've purchased. So if only 50% of the property is insured, essentially 50% of the value is insured, then what you'll have is 50% of the payment of the claim that is settled, right? And so what we want to do is to prevent customers from having a situation where they're not getting the full claim settled because they're suffering from underinsurance.
So what accounts for this disparity in replacement costs? Because relative to the insurance coverage many homeowners currently have, what would be causing that discrepancy?
And so there are two big things that we believe drive this. One, we do not have a practice in Jamaica where we constantly value and update our insurances. So you may have bought a property 10 years ago, and the property would have been insured so as to be rebuilt at the cost of construction 10 years ago. But 10 years have passed, and we've not done anything to upgrade those values. And so over time, what you have, and as we all know, inflation, the cost of building material and the cost of labor, etc., increases. And as a result, the cost to replace that same property now is very different from what it was 10 years ago. So that's one of the main things. The second thing is that, culturally, in Jamaica, we are always expanding on our property, right? So we upgrade our property. It may very well be that you did over the kitchen, the bathroom, or you added new rooms to the property. These things increases the value of the property. And we've not gone back to our insurance to say, okay, how do we ensure that my insurance is accurately reflecting the value of my property?
So it's not a set it and forget it situation. You can't just purchase insurance when it was a 1-bedroom and then you have 10 bedrooms now and you just assume that it's okay. The 1-bedroom fee is good, so we're going to stay there.
Correct. You can't set it and forget it, because it means that whenever there is a hurricane, if all you did was 1-bedroom and now you have 10, and that's a very good example, what you have is 1-bedroom that's insured. And so you'll end up in a 110 type of situation, and nobody wants to have that. Really and truly, I think we had a couple of heartbreaking type of situations following Hurricane Beryl, where you had persons had real exposure, and a good percentage of persons, which is where we have our 95% estimate from, had real exposure. There was a situation that came across where the person purchased the home 20 years ago and did no adjustment to the property whatsoever, right? The property was insured for $4 million. At the time of the hurricane, the value of the property was about $30 million.
Wow.
So you recognize that they did not get half of the amount of money that they needed to repair their property, primarily because it was so severely underinsured.
Right. And we're going to ask you to just give us one quick second, because we're up on a break. We're going to take the break and come back, so just keep your thoughts.
Join us next week when we conclude our discussion on the growth of the Morgans Group and how it has benefited from various initiatives undertaken by the Tourism Enhancement Fund, the TEF, including through its Tourism Linkages Network.
Welcome back. We are still speaking with Mr. Shaluk Richards, Vice President of the IAJ, that's the Insurance Association of Jamaica. We're talking about underinsurance issues that are currently being experienced in Jamaica by Jamaicans. And so, Mr. Richards, you're with us. Great. Before the break, you were telling us about a particular incident where a property was underinsured. It began at $4 million, and during the disaster that struck, it was about $30 million, if I'm recapping correctly.
Right. You are recapping correctly. Yes. And so what we had was a situation where that person had a claim that was around $2 million. But as you can appreciate, if the property is valued for 30 and you insured it for 4, then your claim payment is going to be in the region of around $300,000 of the $2 million, right? So really and truly, that is the impact of underinsurance, where you do not get the amount of claim payment that you so desire to put yourself back in the position that you were. And so that is one of the main reasons why we are bringing this to the nation's attention, that you cannot set it and forget it. You have to check it, you have to value it, you have to insure it. You have to constantly keep your insurance current.
How constant is constant?
So we recommend that that you do evaluation or review of your insurance every 2 to 3 years. And this is really ensuring that you keep track with the inflation rate. So keep track with the inflation rates and the movement of especially construction inflation. Because as this moves, then your property will also appreciate, and you don't want to end up in a situation where you have a loop. And so really and truly, 2 to 3 years is what we recommend.
All right, but we are also seeing a lot more high-rise apartment buildings. You know, those are being erected quite often around the space, especially in the corporate spaces. How does that relate to insurance coverage?
So on both sides, so we do recommend equally that the stratas that, because invariably most of those high-rise buildings, they're insured together as a strata, right? And so we do recommend that equally you have your valuations done for your strata as well, because they also fall within the ambit of residential insurance, and therefore they are also subject to these terms as well. So we do recommend that those buildings are equally assessed, and